Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of UGASports Live. My name is Radi Nabulsi. I'm joined by Dayne Young and Jim Donnan, former head coach of the University of Georgia Bulldogs. We are going to talk Bulldog stuff. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to review the last game, looking forward to the next game, and pimp some of our sponsors. So that's kind of what we do. Big shout out to Athens Ford, Academia Brewing Company, Your Pie, Dead Soxy. I am not at Classic City Eats Day. I had some technical issues, so I'm a little depressed, gentlemen. I'm a little depressed.
You got halfway there and you forgot your laptop. Just say what happened, Roddy.
That's a technical issue, Dane. It's a very technical issue. If you don't have your technology, you can't do the damn show. So, yeah, I am home. And also that laptop was not charged. I used it for the Kirby Smart presser yesterday. And so a twofer technology failed. So
you hear all these excuses, Coach?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, though. At least we got him on the show. We need somebody to carry us through. You and I have a hard time without him, so let's –
I'm going to be benched by the coach here. Hey, guys, I want to talk back about this Missouri game. Georgia almost covered. I was blown away by how close Vegas came to nailing the spread on that game. Georgia wins handily over Missouri game. There was a little nip and tuck there early on. Didn't quite – wasn't one of Georgia's – best games, but results-wise, it was fantastic. Yet the Georgia players after the game were upset. You'd almost think they had lost. They were like, "This is just sloppy." They were not satisfied with that game, and that's not coach speak. That's not player speak. That is insider note that you could tell when you talk to people who were in the program. They weren't happy with some of the mistakes they made. And, Coach, I want to talk about this defense that was upset that they got scored on. They gave up a couple field goals. They didn't no one scored a touchdown on them, but they still weren't happy with that. Great defensive effort. I want to get your thoughts on Georgia's defense against Missouri this past week.
Well, if you just wait just a minute, I got to go over here and look and see. I think Missouri's trying another field goal right now. Seriously, I mean, if I'm outmatched and playing against a number one team, to go for field goals is so ridiculous. And, this is a young coach and he'll learn. But, hey, you got to go for it, man. You got fourth down. You got to go for it. You're not going to win kicking field goals against Georgia. And I don't care what the percentages and the analytics are. So much for that. But defensively, another really good showing. Going into the game, there was a little bit of angst. Not knowing who the quarterback was going to be. They had played Basilak all year, and they had two guys that different types that they could use, the athletic kid and the kid named Macon, and then the other kid who was more like Basilak. So our defense was a little bit discombobulated there early, trying to get a read on him, and he really did some good things. Our special teams let us down on a punt return. They got the ball in good field position, and the kid made a long run, and they got it down there and got a field goal. That's the second time this year. In the first quarter, we've been behind 3-0. We were against Auburn, and we were against this team. But overall, it just goes to show you that, and it's a good teaching point for our team, you got to play the quarterback draw against a mobile quarterback. You can't play man under efficiently enough unless you just really get an unbelievable rush. So that's something we learned a little bit. Our players did, and our coaches. We're going to have to see a really good mobile quarterback this week in Hendon Hooker. So that was a negative, the quarterback runs. But we played the ball in the air. They weren't very effective passing team without their number one guy. And, we missed a few tackles for the first time this year. Our tackling hurt us a little bit when we had a chance to get off the field. But I think the standpoint of kind of the, like your underwear doesn't stink type feeling, that our players feel like, they got to understand that hey, we're going to have some teams move the ball on us, and we're just not going to be completely dominant. Hopefully we can, but we're getting down to the point now, maybe not against Charleston Southern, and we'll do that against them and Tech. But this team this week, we'll go over that in a little bit. But it was a good, decisive defensive performance. And then what do you got to say about it, Dane? And then we'll talk about the offense.
Yeah, I thought the defense played pretty solid, especially when you look at some of the differences in terms of Adam Anderson not being there. Trayvon Walker's asked to do more, but man, like that guy has got an NFL future ahead of him. Coach, we talked about it a little bit as it was happening live, but when I went back and watched the tape, the play where he is as the edge rusher, so he didn't play edge a lot, but he did play edge some, where he takes a step toward the quarterback and then peels off for the little quick pass and then makes the tackle in the flat. How many players his size can even do that?
Yeah, I mean, he really does have just incredible movement to go with his. He's very quick on top of being strong, but just the ability to, if you go back to 2 years ago when he chased down Bo Nix or whatever it might be, he just got that capability with his frame, and he does it day in and day out. A very, very agile guy, and he just doesn't want anything but success. And then you got the guy on the other side who's got a complete mean on when he comes out on the field in Carter that just doesn't want a guy to get an inch or anybody to block him a lick. And then you got the human wrecking ball there at nose guard. I guarantee you one guy that's not sleeping much this week is Cooper Mays. Maybe his dad might be because he's got both his sons playing. But let me just tell you, Cooper Mays thinking about 99 lining up on him. I mean, that's going to be fun to watch from our perspective. But anyhow, those three guys just disruptive. And then we had a little package where White was in there with them too. So utilizing the fact that Anderson, I can't say enough about the fact that we played a game against a major college opponent without two of our top 5 players. I mean, Anderson and Salyer. Salyer's got to be the number one cog on the offense. And Anderson, line, and then Anderson, it's just so disruptive in all your packages. The fact that he can play star, play in, he can come inside and spy. And to not have him really hurts our defense. So we'll see how that comes moving forward.
Coach, I did want to ask you about the offensive side because it's the talk of the town on the dog vent right now. It's Stetson Bennett and it's JT Daniels, just like it has been for the past month. And one of the things I want to ask you about, there's I guess a narrative on the vent right now, and maybe among Georgia fans across the country, that Stetson Bennett struggles with pre-snap reads compared to JT Daniels, that the offense is going to be so different with him that he can't run the full package, or that he doesn't read defense as well. And I didn't play quarterback and you did. I didn't call plays and you did. So I just wanted to know, like, what is your reaction to that kind of talk that's out there?
Well, certainly everybody's got their opinions, and it's not my deal to tell people that they don't really understand it. But the one thing I will say, I've been playing quarterback since I was 7 years old, so I'm almost 77. So I've been around quarterback, and I coach quarterbacks, and in every job I ever had involved coaching quarterbacks. And the last 20 years, I've been having a lot of contact with guys that evaluate quarterbacks, and so I feel like I got a pretty good bead on what it takes and everything about what's going on here. We run a complicated offense. We run a pro offense. It's one that entails a lot of stuff with pre-snap reads, with changing the plays, RPOs, and it takes a very, very smart guy to be able to do that. I will say this, and whatever time it is, 11:42 on November the 9th, we have 2 not smart quarterbacks. We've got 2 brilliant quarterbacks. Both of these guys can assimilate what's going on at the line of scrimmage, know what all 22 players are doing. They know everybody's assignment. They can read defenses. They can pick them up. To say that Stetson Bennett doesn't check off is ludicrous. I mean, he can run the whole package that JT can. To say that JT can't do some things in the offense as far as the plays that we run, another ridiculous thing. We run the same plays with both of them, maybe not quite the same look and everything, but from an intelligence standpoint, either one of these guys could walk in any quarterback room in the country and be there for 2 days and know the whole thing. They're very intelligent. It's almost like a guy being Einstein, the way they know football. Both of these guys are just really football junkies, know what to do. So take that one and throw it in the garbage, because I can tell you that. And beat both these guys. Now, as far as once the ball is snapped, certainly JT throws the ball a lot quicker. And the reason he does is he knows if he holds on to it with his lack of mobility in our offensive line, he's not going to be able to get the ball off. So starting with the game against the Clemson Tigers, he's been very quick on his reads because he has to be. Stetson Bennett looks like he doesn't read as much, but he holds on to the ball because he knows he can move around and he can do some things that may be in the pocket that the other guy. So you get that symbol of, hey, boy, he really can read defenses. And look, both these guys can read anything they throw at you. And so I'm glad we got them both. But I feel good about the package that Coach Monken has, and he uses the whole package with either one. Either one of them can run anything that the other guy can run, and they can do it very effectively. And I was really encouraged that JT got to play last week. I've been encouraged with the way Stetson has played. But you give Kirby Smart, Todd Monken, our whole offensive staff a lot of moxie here for being able to change what they planned on going into the season, feeling like their offensive line was going to develop and be a lot better than it has become. It still has some issues, but it is what it is. And with the other guy in there at quarterback now, after this guy got hurt, he makes things. I heard Greg McElroy talk about, preparing for this, about the 5 or 6 plays that he watched Stetson Bennett make that kept Georgia in the game in every game they played early in the game, whether it be a bootleg when the guy's got him corralled, whether it's a zone read, whatever it might be. All these things help you. So I don't want to get on the Stetson versus JT, who the quarterback should be or all that, but let's just get this out of here about one guy reads quicker and the other guy doesn't check off and all that. That's pure poppycock. That's ridiculous. So the whole point is JT wasn't well. The other guy took the bull by the horns. Now he's having a hard time taking over because our offensive coaches know what we can do and what we can't do. That's the reality of it.
Coach, do you see any of that change? I thought Jermaine Burton had a hell of a return. I mean, he was 1.5 yards away from having 3 TDs on the day, which would, he'd have been SEC Player of the Week, Offensive Player of the Week for returning. And if you get him back, and then down the road you get maybe in a couple weeks you get George Pickens back, and that's just saying that they can work their way up the depth chart.
Maybe Blaylock too.
Yeah, maybe Blaylock. Yeah. So, and Kyrus Jackson, look how healthy he looked this past week. That was, when Kyrus is back making big blocks.
I can see our team evolving into maybe a little bit more pass first type of situation, just to help our line a little bit. We were having some issues, which I understand why Florida and Missouri would line up and dare us to throw the ball, because they don't want us running the ball. That's what we were doing well. But we missed some blocks. Everybody misses blocks. We missed some passes. Everybody missed passes. But we're just not a perfect, dominant offensive team like our defense is, and we just got to adjust to that. And I think we're doing that extremely well, particularly getting, like you say, Burton back. And we're very explosive the other day. You look at the play to Smith. There's another guy coming back. He touched the ball he's touched the ball like 11 times in his career and has 3 touchdowns. And, that's a pretty good percentage. So I feel really good about letting the coaches decide what they need to do and knowing what they need to do to help us win based on you always look at what our team needs to win when you make the game plan and your personnel. So hopefully these personnel will start, helping out. And it was good to see JT out there. He certainly brings a lot to the table too.
And there's a ripple effect with those returning receivers. You didn't see Kyrus Jackson doing those jet sweeps in previous weeks. It was back this week because there's more guys on the roster to be able to help in other positions as well.
Yeah, and the jet sweep helps you because if the defense makes one bad step and then Darnell Washington comes out there and smothers the corner, that just opens up a lot of air. You don't have to knock everybody off the line and block them perfectly. You just get the edge there. And, we're going to see that this week with the Tennessee Vols. they're going to spread you out. Both their receivers line up almost out of bounds, and you've got to, your box is going to be so controlled. You're going to have at least 4 guys out of the box every play because of the perimeter stuff that they do. So they're counting on you, having at least a hat on a hat against you, and you got to tackle in space. So we'll see how that evolves.
Speaking of evolution, I get nervous, Coach. I have a thing for tight ends, but now you see Burton coming back. You see Arian Smith out there. You see Kyrus Jackson. And there was that one great play where they threw it to Brock Bowers. He stiff-armed a guy into next week. And I really liked what we were seeing there with the use of the tight ends. But now that you have Jamari Sawyer out, I don't know that he'll play this week. Kirby Smart yesterday said he was hopeful they'd have Jamari Sawyer back this week. I don't know that he'll be there. But now you have to get back to, we have some pass protection issues. We need to bring those tight ends in a little bit to help out with pass pro. We've got these other wide receivers getting healthy. Do we see less utilization of the tight ends when they've been so helpful for you, but you get those big plays from your wide receivers?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to really look at it. The play that Bowers made was when Stetson Bennett, who can't read defenses, decided just to throw it out there when they were bringing the pressure. What a brilliant play it was. I mean, even though he can't read it, he threw it out there pretty well. And he caught the ball and ran. So the fact that he was detached makes a lot of sense, too. You got the ability to move him out there. Now he's on a safety or a linebacker. And what a really good catch he made over the middle. That was kind of a risky throw that Stetson threw over the middle, but he made the catch and he kept going with it. That was outstanding. So So I looked at these grades around the country that I saw where Washington and Bowers were the 2 highest graded tight ends in the country going into this game. So against the Vols, both over 90%. So we'll just have to see. I hope we use them underneath because that helps you a little bit. Our pass protection was really pretty good last week. I mean, we didn't get flushed out or didn't give up anything really poor. So maybe we'll be air monkeying, coming out here. Maybe we'll air it out a little more, which I like the way everybody likes that. But we certainly got the receivers now. All these guys have developed. Even though Mitchell dropped a couple, I mean, you're going to drop some. But perfect catch by Rosemy over there. I mean, that was unbelievable. Guy had the guy covered like a blanket. So
the best catch of the day, though, Coach, was Kenny McIntosh's.
Oh yeah,
acrobatic thing.
Kenny just gives you another edge there, in the fact that we think about Zeus being a power back and staying inside, and you got the other guy Cook. You can run outside and catch the ball. This guy can do both, and you can't really gear in on him as a defensive coach. And of course we see Edwards come in there and show you the jets he's got. I mean, he's a very He reminds you of that Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, the guy that can just kind of glide in there and do some things. So I'm excited about our offense, even though we didn't run the ball as good as we needed to. And somebody brought up the fact, why do you have to put those big guys in on the goal line? Why don't you? I mean, good Lord, it's hard to run the ball inside the 10-yard line. That's another thing that really helped us one week when Bennett ran a quarterback draw and got it down from the 11 to the 3. Well, it's a lot easier to get it in there when you do that. And, so I think that power set to me is always like that on the goal line. We used to tell our guys, it's kind of like Radi going through the buffet line and knowing you got that key lime pie there at the end of it. You always know you got that hammer and tong. Hey, boy, let's everybody get really excited because we're going to goal line offense. Nobody in America is going to stop us. I don't care if they line up everybody. This is what we're going to do. And, you just put that mindset into you. And that's some big old guys there. Washington at tight end and Davis in there, and then big old
Jalen Carter
leading the way. So that's hard to stop that.
One thing that we try to illustrate in Film Don't Lie is, as well as George is playing, there are some guys that have been returning or that don't have as much experience, even 9 games into a season, that when Kirby Smart says there are things that have to be cleaned up, that's a lot of what he's talking about. So when you see an Arian Smith fall down on special teams and Missouri get a big punt return because of that, or when you see Broderick Jones not being able to get up to a linebacker because he didn't recognize something maybe as quickly as he would have if he played more. There's a lot of inexperience that still plays even 9 games through a season.
Sure. And I think the big key for our team right now is all of us. I think we did a poll back in June who would be the offensive line going into to November, and we all thought that Mims and Jones and all these guys would step up. But, things sometimes don't develop quite like you think. And we feel one thing and the coaches see another thing, and that's where it all boils down to. So, but overall, the thing that's very good about our team is we very seldom turn the ball over, and when we do, we turn it over on their end of the field. So we've got to continue to do that because our defense is hard to move the ball on. And sure, we're not a beautiful, poetic offense, but same time, we got a lot of things that really do well with. And, I mean, that was exciting seeing those explosive plays to me. I mean, that was really good. I like to see those big plays. Of course, I like the hammer and tong stuff too, but I just like anything to go with football. I mean, anything that happens.
You're so easy. Hey, Coach, I thought about this because somebody asked, when they bring that power package with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, you get the big Chilardos, as you call them. They come hammering through there and just open it up for everybody. But we also saw the wild dog formation with James Cook taking the direct snap and Stetson Bennett going out and running a fade. Kind of threw him for a loop there. James goes in pretty much untouched. You're talking about going through the buffet line and the key lime pie at the end. That makes my mouth water. This James Cook has been my mouth-watering player week after week after week. When he goes in that wild dog formation, would you also do that with the jumbo package as well, or is that just too much going on at once?
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to get in a wild dog and have Jalen Carter be your back there and try to read him on the inside zone. But you don't want to get too funky there. But
it'd be wild to see.
Got different kind of categories there. You got your jumbo package, which that is, and then you got your regular stuff. But the thing that James can do, which when we had Miko back there against Alabama and he ran the inside zone keep and scored very easily on the goal line, I think he got that same kind of issue with James. He can run the inside zone read and take it outside. He can throw the ball. He can do a lot of things back there, and he just gives the defense.
He throws it?
No, I didn't say that. I mean, let's watch and see.
I mean, he's a football player. Most of them know how to throw the damn ball.
He can throw it. So
I've been told there's a lot of guys that could end up throwing the ball. There's a lot of guys with good arms on the offense.
We typecast these guys and just assume they can't do anything, and it's like, oh, well, he's a running back. He can't catch passes. Yeah,
but I guarantee you one thing. I guarantee you one thing that I always like to do. You want to hold things and not show them, but at the same time, you like to show a lot to make them work on them. So if you're working on your goal line defense against us, you got to think, hey, they got to work on the regular package where we have 3 wides and a back and a tight end. We got a 2 tight end package on the goal line, which is hard to balance up against. We got that jumbo package where you can certainly limited, but it's power ball. And then you got the wildcat. So you got 15 minutes to practice red zone and goal line every day. How much you can practice of each if you're the defense? And smart by monkey, make them work on everything. And we're pretty good at it the way we practice because we're very segmented and get a lot of reps in. So I think that's really good job by us of having that versatility.
I also think, correct me if I'm wrong here, sorry, Dan, but actually running it once or twice in a game situation, I know you practice it over and over and over again but doesn't it help to actually have run it once or twice in an actual game situation?
Sure. I mean, you want the ability and the confidence that you can take it in there and make it work against another team. But the one thing that's good about our team that I've talked about ad nauseum here is we go against the best defense in Kingdom Come every day. And if we can't work it against them, it might not be worth trying, but it might be because they're so good. So, but if it works against them, you got a really good chance of it working against somebody else's defense. So that's really part of the deal there is, Kirby stresses our team every day. I don't go out there much, but they go out there and they go against each other. And that's part of the way that your defense gets a good look because they're seeing offensive players on the level. And he mentioned in the press conference yesterday, which I thought was something that was important, was the lack of depth in our receiver position has hurt the scout team from the standpoint so many of the guys that might be down at the scout team running routes against our defense are actually second team, third team for our offense. And consequently, and of course, we lost, I think, 3 receivers in the transfer portal. I saw Matt Landers playing for Toledo the other night, 80-some yard run on the pass. And I started to think, God, is that Matt Landers? But he had on a different number, so it might not have been. So it was Matt. So the point is, I'm happy for him. The point is, by going against our own team some and team pass and 7-on-7, stuff like that, we're able to go against the good receivers that we got. And I think we made that adjustment a lot more going against each other than we do scout team.
I think the Wild Dog inspired us, Roddy, because you should have seen the group text with Coach and me and Brent Rollins on Saturday night. We were just finding trick plays that were being run around the country and throwing them in the thread. I mean, Purdue had like this double reverse screen. Coach, did you send the one or Brent where the ball was snapped through one player's legs and then?
Yeah, I saw that one where they snapped the ball through the quarterback's leg on short yardage, and he faked a sneak, and then the guy in the back threw the jump pass to the guy. I mean, those Dick Tracy plays, I really like them when they work, but when they don't, they look really bad. But that was a really good Dick Tracy.
Oh, I love that. Speaking of your subterfuge, that's great when you're doing it on football, but you don't want that when you're buying your next vehicle. You don't want somebody saying, "Hey, this vehicle's great." It's you're going to love it. You want to go to somebody you trust, somebody who's not going to misrepresent things like where the ball's going, where the handoff's going. You want someone who's just going to line up and tell it to you straight. And that's what we have with our friends over at Athens Ford. They are, that's our term. You like the cut of their jib or whatever, that just straight arrow type guys. These are straight arrows. They're not going to screw you around. They're not going to take advantage of you. They're there to help you because they don't want to just sell you one car. They want to sell you 2, 3, 4, 5 cars for the rest of your life. They want to sell them to your families and your friends, and they want to be part of your neighborhood. They want to be part of your community. They do great stuff in the community. Right now, they are helping out anybody that goes out in November, December and buys a vehicle. They're going to help a child in this community have a better Christmas. That's what they do it every year. They sponsor Little League teams. They sponsor fall festivals. They take care of people in the community. They're here all the time, and they have some fantastic deals right now. We were talking about the 60% or 60-month APR financing, 0% for qualified customers. You can't beat that. You can get it on Ford F-150s, Explorers, Expeditions. 60 months, 0% financing, qualified buyers, Escapes, Edge. Well, Ford Edge has 1.9%, but everything else, Explorer, Mustang, 0% financing going forward for 5 years. So you can't beat that. And also, if you want something that delivers as promised, it is not a trick, don't fall for some of these fancy sock companies that say, "Oh yeah, we have great socks." Go with somebody that actually knows what the hell they're talking about. I'm gonna talk about our friends at Dead Soxy. You see, I still have their alumni pack here with the reds, red stripes, the red polka dots, the red and black and silver. Great stuff to wear to Tennessee this weekend. When Georgia takes on the Volunteers. They have the True Stay technology, so when you wear them into that stadium and you climb up those god-awful steps in Neyland Stadium, because that place is straight up, you're not going to feel your socks sliding down. The True Stay technology holds them in place, and you'll have your red and black socks that are, from their alumni collection that show that you're a badass. You got your lucky socks. Georgia's 9-0. It's no surprise to me that we said these are your lucky socks, and they started sponsoring UGASports this year. And sure enough, Dogs are 9-0. They probably should have come up with some for Florida. Florida could use these lucky socks, but they have not had them yet. So anyway,
and Roger Murray on Facebook says Dead Soxy are the best socks I've ever worn.
They absolutely are. And again, we tried them out before we let them come on as a sponsor, and I wear them. I wear my Reds. My red no-shows on Saturdays, just because I know they're lucky socks. So they have the athletic ones, they have the boardrooms, they have the great styles, and they're buttery soft. You will not find a better sock out there, and you can get them for 25% off. It's get ready for the holidays. Get ready for the people in your life that may need them. Use UGASports. That's your code, UGASports. That's your discount code, promo code, whatever you want to call it, to get 25% off your order. And we just sent out a ton of them to people who had won our prediction contest. So we had people saying, hey, I got these in the mail. I love them. So we're already seeing that.
I will take a YouTube question here, Roddy, as we get Coach back here in the video stream. Just Tom Gross asking, any word on Adam Anderson that you can share? That's probably more of a recap at this point, but if you want to update what we know.
The last we've heard on Adam Anderson was, they're doing an investigation. There's a rape allegation that was filed, and an allegation is basically an accusation. And the police and basically investigators, detectives and stuff like that are looking into it. And then from that, they will determine if they will file charges, So there have not been charges filed. There's not been an arrest made, but by policy is when there's an accusation like this, he is not basically allowed to participate in team events like that. So we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out with him. There is no timeline. It could go on a long time while they do this investigation. They have other cases they have to investigate. They're not going to drop everything they're doing to check out this one guy. I mean, they have caseloads that they have to work through. So, and it could be cleared up 3 days from now. You just never know. You're basically, the coaches are just gonna have to plan as if they don't have him. If they do get him, be excited for it.
There was one erroneous report. I mean, this is bad. Just like I try to hold media to a pretty high standard because of how a lot of people view media, which I think that can be unfair at times too. But like if media screws up, you got to call it out. And there was one really bad report saying that Georgia knew about this ahead of the Florida game and still let him play. No, Georgia did not know about it. Like that is categorically, undeniably false. Like Georgia found out about it after the game and into the weekend and early the following week. So after that, he didn't practice. It's still been around. I mean, he's still on the team, so he can be around the team while this goes on. But Georgia's not going to travel with a guy that's not going to play. Promise you that.
Yeah, it's and the question is, can somebody just suggest this and get him kicked off the team or whatever? Yeah, but who's going to do that? Because you can also be charged for filing a false report. So it's, and here's the thing. If it's a situation where it happened, it needs to be addressed. If it didn't happen, then that too needs to be addressed. This is a young man's life and a young woman's life. And we're just going to sit back and let these things play out and not try to piece together rumors and innuendo. Just it's a bad situation all around. So we'll just have to move on.
Let's get to some questions for Coach, and then a lot of these deal with Tennessee, Coach, so we can kind of weave in some of that Tennessee preview into that as these questions come along. This one from Maitland, Florida Dog. Ask Coach how Georgia can best counter the quarterback runs while still being aggressive on defense.
Well, he's alluding to Hendon Hooker, who has really taken over the quarterback reins at Tennessee and given them a very explosive offense. They scored 48 points against Kentucky Wildcats and only had the ball for like 14 minutes. A lot of big plays. And Kentucky just continued to play man coverage and couldn't cover the guys. But as far as what you have to do, you've got to have gap control for sure. And understand that you're going to need some people to help you in coverage. That's what they count on. So just a real quick scouting report. If you just take the hash marks in college football and then the numbers, which are outside the hash mark, and then the sideline, there used to be a rule that you would never go any closer than so far to the sideline because nobody's going to cover you because of the distance of the throw. So most people would split the distance between the numbers and the hash mark as far as they're split, like a few yards out there. But Baylor came up with the idea under Art Browse that they would go on and take that guy and line him up 1 yard or 2 yards from the sideline, and the other guy would be – so of the 53 and the third yards, the two guys would be as wide as you could be. They would be 50-some yards apart. And they started running RPOs where they didn't read the linebackers. They read the safety. So if the safety played any kind of run support, they had an automatic deep pass built into every RPO. So we've talked about reading the linebackers, throwing in behind the linebackers, and hitting a slant. They read the safety. If the safety's playing pass, they hand the ball off, and they feel like they got enough people to block the people in the box, and you don't have that extra guy to stop the run. Plus, they got a myriad of screens behind the line and things like that. But getting back to the quarterback, we've got some packages where we play different coverages, but we also put a spy on the guy. Well, once you take a guy and put him up there behind the center in a stacked position behind the linebacker, you give up edge one way or the other. So you got to be careful about trying to stop the quarterback, and then they run the zone play, and you don't have anybody there. So that's more for third down. We watched the game, studied the game against Tennessee against the University of Mississippi, and Mississippi ran a quarterback draw on them to death, 200 yards. Corral had. Same thing with Hooker. He can do it too. We saw it Saturday. So bottom line, you got to put a spy on him, or you got to stunt your two inside people on both sides and create an issue where he just can't have an easy running lane. So Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, Muschamp, Schumann, they'll have some really good looks on them. And we're going to knock this guy around. They gave up 5 sacks to Kentucky. Hey, our guys are licking their chops going against some of those old linemen. We'll get after them pretty pass rush too. So, I mean, even though they run fast and they score all these points, they're going against a different ball game here with this Georgia Bulldog team coming in there.
Staying with Georgia's defensive line, I've been good at the vent. Says, can Georgia's front three handle Tennessee's offensive line with ease?
I don't know if they'd be with ease because they present some challenges with the stuff they do with the other people. But, their line is more, let's get a tie. Let's don't give up lost yardage plays. That's what they did against Bama, and they took them to the fourth quarter. I think we got more players up front than Bama, so I don't know if it'll be ease, but it won't be angst either. I think we'll get after them pretty good. But here's the deal. We've been so used to shutting everybody down cold. If we shut these guys down cold, I will be ready to put us in some kind of pantheon because we'll be even better than I think we are. And we made dramatic improvement in the secondary, still play a lot of zone. They're going to have a hard time going deep against our zone, but if they start throwing a little nickel and down stuff, we got to do some stuff to take advantage of that. So we got speed back. That should help us a little bit if we go into some of these extra packages. I'm talking about a mere speed. So we'll see how that rolls. But they got to stop us too. I mean, you talk about some mismatches. We got some mismatches on them too.
We'll get there, but I know a lot of people want to talk about the pace of play that Tennessee's offense plays with. Roy Dog Mercer says, how does a head coach prepare a team with the change of tempo and the high pace? Kirby Smart said in his presser on Monday that, quote, there's not really a way. What are your thoughts?
Well, he has a tendency to say some things that make you feel like it, that hopefully the other team's listening to that. But I know Josh Heupel knows that Kirby Smart's going to come up with the way, and so will Lanning. What you got to do, first of all, is prepare your scout team because the scout team usually doesn't know the other team's plays. what they do is they get in the huddle there, and the guys got cards, and they show what the play is, and everybody goes to the line and they run that play. That's what it is. But when you got to run it fast, then it becomes a different situation there. So we're going to have to assimilate a quicker scout team. And what we've done in the past is usually use two of them, where one of them already knows the play. So when the first team finishes that play, the other team's coming up to the line with another one. So that's a good way to, it's 2-on-1 and makes our defense tired, but at least can simulate how they do it. And people say, well, how do they run plays so fast? Well, they've got 3 or 4 runs and 4 or 5 passes that they just call one word. And as soon as the play's over, they line up with that play and they run it. And so we've got to simulate that in practice, just like we would have to if our team was running a wishbone. You'd have to get your scout team showing what old Paul Johnson's teams used to do. You got to do this with the scout team here, and we'll do that. And the other thing we'll do is probably make our own team, not make, but our offensive team will have to go out there, which knows how to go fast, and do some of that fast stuff against our defense to help them. We're going on the same plane up there. We might as well help each other out.
A lot of questions about Georgia's running game. North Buckhead Dog says, why does Georgia seem to be running so many inside zone plays and not mixing it up more in the run game? And when Georgia's on the goal line with our play action passes to tight ends on particular downs, can that be a weapon as a play action in the red zone?
Yeah, I think inside zone out in the field, we try to hammer that just to keep the defense honest, and we thought we could run it better than we did last week, but we missed some blocks. We didn't make a lot of first downs early, and those things happen. As far as on the line, it's hard to run just a play where you're running pure read on the goal line. I mean, you take it, hey, if you get an exchange, you got a fumble, you're more unlikely just calling it a predetermined play. So certainly the play action's there, but you always look at down and distance, where you are, what's the score. The closer you are to the goal line, the less chance you're going to throw the ball. You got 4 downs to make it. So we got a lot of different stuff we hadn't shown on play action on the goal line because we've been pretty effective down there. So I would say you'll see more of that jumbo set, more of that wild dog, and more of just maybe play action down there, because we're not going to knock anybody off the ball. I mean, 9 weeks later, that's just not going to happen.
Mick Jones, 1969. Nice. Do you think that we'll see more sweeps and pitches to wide receivers if Tennessee compounds the box? That seemed to be an adjustment against Missouri's defense. For
sure. I mean, why not? You get the ball to those Jets like Smith, and we saw a really good run by Kieras. So why not? And also the quick pitch plays where we toss the ball to the backs, and then we got the fake toss and throw the ball to the back who's to the slot who's going out to block the guy, and he fakes it and goes down the field. That's a good package there, and we're not stubborn. We'll run a lot more of those against this Tennessee ball. Let me just tell you, this Tennessee ball defense is one of their strengths is inside. They've got some big old guys, and they mix them, match them, and they sub. Rodney Garner, everybody knows here, coached here, coach at Auburn. He's always been a guy that runs a lot of guys in and out, and he does a good job of preparing the guys. So their defense is a lot like Auburn's overall, but like the old Auburn team, a lot bigger than this Auburn team up front. They've got some big guys that are hard to move, and but they also give up a lot of yardage with their linebackers and their secondary. So I look for us to use some of that stuff that he mentioned.
I'll sneak this one in here, and then I know Roddy wants to talk about your pie in just a second. C17 Dog says, what do head coaches talk about during pregame warm-ups at midfield?
Hey, that is the hardest thing to ever do. I mean, especially if you don't know the other guy. You got general chit-chat. It's just a formality that you're supposed to go through, but neither guy is really too worried about what he's talking about, and you just throw it out there, but both of his stomachs and knots thinking about what's going to happen in the game. So, but if you know the guy and you have a previous relationship with him, and then you can talk about their families or, some things like that, which is a lot easier. But just guys that it really is kind of something that you don't look forward to, really, if you don't know the guy. It's just a kind of pain in the butt, really. So, but you gotta show respect to the other guy and welcome them and all that. But usually the guy that's out there laughing and doing stuff is the guy that knows he's getting ready to get his ass beat.
Very true. That nervous laughter. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've been that guy before, for sure. I've had those feelings, but I've told the story before, and I'll tell it again because it's funny. We're out there in Jacksonville, and of course, I've known Spurrier since he was a senior in college, and I was a junior. We played him at NC State, and our paths across a lot in other issues. And so basically, we're out there talking, and he said, "Hey, Jimmy, what do you think about those blue pants we got on today?" And I said, "Hey, I really hadn't thought about it. The first time we ever wore the blue pants against Georgia." And basically, excuse my language, I said, "Steve, I don't give a shit about your blue pants." I said, "Y'all wear whatever you want to." I said, "I got to try to make some first downs." So, but that's pretty funny, I thought.
Oh yeah, Spurs he's having a rough week, Coach.
Yeah, that Gator Nation there, man. That's it's always tough when somebody loses a job. But I don't think I've ever seen anything like Nebraska where they got 3 games ago and they fired 5 coaches. I guess they're going to bring Tom Osborne and some of those guys in to help them out. But it's obvious that they're going to give the guy another year. But it just looks kind of ridiculous to me. Hey, finish the season and do what you can. I mean, Nebraska is what it is, and they're going to play everybody tight, and then they're going to find a way to lose a game in the fourth quarter. I mean, you've seen that story in that script all year. Unreal.
That the vote of confidence gets to death. I'm waiting for that vote of confidence that Florida puts out saying, we believe in Dan Mullen, and he's made some adjustments. And Dan Mullen's last.
They're going to give him another year. And
oh yeah,
hey, I will give kudos to our Notre Dame's here, Radi. Before anybody else knew, he put out that Christian Robinson was going to be calling the defenses, even though people around here said they'd read something otherwise. But as usual, Roddy's right. I mean, I wouldn't say as usual.
I was about to say, you're not going to give me that title.
But you got some pretty good sources, man. You FBI guy. That's pretty good.
I just assumed that Christian Robinson was at Paulie's when he got that phone call saying you're going to call plays. I always imagine he's at Paulie's.
So, well, I can tell you this. Of all the teams that's in, nothing against Samford, but he got a pretty good chance here this week. They're going to be going against the Samford Bulldogs, and that'll be a good chance for him to get that defense going. And then they got Missouri and Florida State. So, I think the big thing when you assume the role like that is, hey, it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. Let's just come out and be sound and don't reinvent the wheel, and let's get our pride back. I mean, that's what you got to be. I mean, they got their pants pulled down there by South Carolina. I mean, that was embarrassing that South Carolina hadn't moved the ball on anybody. I mean, they had 11 yards going into the fourth quarter in their last game against Texas A&M, and they got over 300 yards on this Gator team rushing the ball. I mean, it was embarrassing.
I love it. I do. And as much as the Schneiden is so fun for the Gator fans, hey, Georgia, do not root for Dan Mullen to be fired. You want that guy to get a contract extension. You want him there forever. Poorly recruiting and getting his ass kicked by Georgia. Don't let him go away. Do not. First thing, here's my fear, Coach. Like, oh, hey, Dan Mullen's been fired, and now Florida's contacting Dan Lanning. No.
Chuck Ward with the comment of the show, maybe Florida can pull the upset this week against Samford.
That's a good one, Chuck. That's a good one. Hey, he's coming all the way from Texas from that one. That was.
Yeah. I am happy though for Christian Robinson, and
he'll do a good job. And I noticed they put Coach P on the field too, Coach Paul Pasqualoni, who was the head coach at for a long time at Syracuse, and then coached a little while at Connecticut, and then recently was a D coordinator at for the Detroit Lions. But the association is that Coach Mullen actually was a GA for Coach P at Syracuse when he first started his career. So they've got a kind of a existing relationship. And Coach P, very thorough guy. I mean, he works at it hard, and he's been an analyst down there for a year or so. So he's going to go on the field and help them out.
Good. And for Georgia's strength of schedule and whatever, you want them to win the last 3 games and keep Dan around so you can beat him again next year. It's always fun.
We need Kentucky and Auburn to win out. I mean, wow, we need some of those.
We need Oregon to lose.
Yeah, our strength of schedule is not going to be quite as good. The one thing that helps us is the dominance of our wins. I mean, they got to look at that. I mean, you beat so many, the closest game, 17 points or something like that. So they're going to look at that even if you do stub your toe.
Well, you won't stub your toe if you decide that this week when you're watching the Georgia-Tennessee game, if you want to do it from Academia Brewing Company, they have those giant TV screens out there. They have the beer garden where you can eat outside if the weather's really nice. They have the lounge, which is all these couches and TVs where you can just sit and have a few drinks. Or you can actually sit at the tables inside the restaurant and get their fantastic food. It is a great brew pub. The food is as good as the beer, and the beer is lights out. The beer wins awards. There's always something new. You can get one of those little flights that's like a barrel stave with 4 holes cut into it, and they put in 4 little glasses, and you get good 4 different beers into them. Get a flight of beer out there. Get the best food you've ever had at Academia Brewing Company. They do a great job, and I can tell you that Matt Casey, the founder, CEO, the guy who came up with the whole thing, he is the biggest Bulldog fan you probably ever meet. The guy just eats, breathes, and lives Bulldogs. So when I say it's a great place to watch a game, I'm not kidding. He's got it on everywhere, and he's running around. He's thrilled to death. He's going to love watching this game. Not to say he's against Tennessee, but he damn sure ain't for him. So this is a guy that if you're going to support somebody, support our friends at Academia Brewing Company. And you don't have to do it just on Saturday. You can go out today. They have Trivia Tuesday, Thursday. They have live music. If you're out Sunday, you can do the beer and brisket brunch. So there's always great stuff going on. Actually, on November 13th from 12 to 3, they're having a plant shop and swaps. You can go out there and get plants, and trade them and stuff like that. And of course, it's always check out their Facebook page. It's the best way to keep up with everything going on at Academia is to go to Facebook and type in Academia Brewing Company. Check out their Facebook page. You'll find out all about their new beers.
Their Instagram's great too.
Oh yeah, it's a great place to do it. And again, if you're not in Athens and say you're in any of the other 70 cities that has a Your Pie location, if you're watching the game from home, you're not going up to Knoxville, grab a Your Pie. Try some of their new pizzas. Try some of the new 14-inch ones. They have a big pizza if you want to get one for everybody. I do like this new style they have out. It's a white truffle pizza. Takes you a minute to process that, but it's a white truffle pizza with the tomatoes, the white truffles, the mushrooms, the onions, the spinach. It's fantastic. Give it a shot. You will absolutely love it. So reach out to our friends at Your Pie. Today, if you want to do it before and not wait till Saturday, if you want to get something this week, order it today on the app and get your double points. The points add up really quickly. You get free pizzas, free gelato, free brownies, free breadsticks, all sorts of free stuff like that. So check out any of the locations from Your Pie. They have the new big 14-inch pizza, so that way you can – and again, it's all customized. So hit them up and try them out, see what you think.
Shout out to Drew and Natalie French and their sweet family.
Yeah,
UGA people.
Good family. I mean, I told you about sitting up there and watching the tennis match with them. Those young girls getting ready to be good players. And I just want to make one comment about and don't want to go too heavy on this as far as sympathy or anything, but certainly want it. But one of my good friends up in Huntington area there in Logan, West Virginia, White Skaggs, 87 years old, passed away last night. Oh. And I talked to his son. I mean, not White, Neil Skaggs. I talked to his son today, but he was a great supporter of mine and did a good job of helping me build that program at Marshall. with no way would we ever gotten what we did without that guy's support, just financially, every way possible. But just a quick story that you want to memorialize people, but very good story real quick. When I first got the job, they had a defensive lineman up there at Logan, West Virginia, and so I went through the interview. I went through the deal where had the press conference, and then got on the road. And the first person I ever met that had anything to do with Marshall was Neil Skaggs, and he was going to take me over to the school and introduce me to the coach and everything. And he said to me, which I'll never forget, "Coach, how much does a defensive tackle cost?" And I said, "Well, I'm in the right place here." No, we didn't buy the guy, but he certainly felt like he wanted to get after West Virginia. He knew what they were doing, and we tried to get that boy a job and all. We weren't going to break any rules, but I can never will forget. Rest in peace, Neil. How much does a defensive tackle cost?
Yeah, Coach. I want to ask you that same question nowadays.
Inflation and
inflation.
Inflation now. I mean, that's Texas A&M. They just bought one.
Oh.
You mentioned Rodney Garner early in the show, and I was going to say he's going to come into this Georgia game pissed off because a 5-star defensive tackle within 10 minutes of Knoxville Stadium is just committed to Texas A&M. So he's going to come in mad as hell. So
he will, but don't. That's still a long time to sign date.
And in Rodney Garner years, it's about a decade. So got a long time to go before that one's settled. So
we had a lot of questions, and we have about 5 minutes left. So we're just going to do a little rapid fire here for you, Coach.
Let's go rapid fire.
PA Dog asks, with Tennessee's speed on offense, we know the benefits of it, but what are the weaknesses of that kind of scheme?
Well, the thing that happens when you go fast, if you don't make a first down or you don't score, then it really puts your defense in a lot of angst because they're out there longer than they need to be. And the good thing about us, we finished the game at 3:30 last week, and most of our players didn't play in the fourth quarter, so they finished at 2:30. Hey, their team played a game where they gave up over 600 yards, had 90 plays on defense. They didn't get home till 3 o'clock, so that's an advantage for us. But I think their weakness is the fact that they don't make a lot of first downs sometime, and they get off the field. And the thing that's hurt them early in the year, they couldn't get lined up efficiently, and they made a lot of motion penalties, and their receivers weren't set at the snap. And they got that stuff down now. They're a lot more effective. But I think that's their biggest key is they stop themselves a lot, and I hope they do Saturday.
James Brown, please ask, when Brock Bowers was penalized for illegal man downfield and Kirby dropped his expletive that was heard over the referee's mic, he's heard it's because Marcus Rosemary-Jackson, quote, covered him up, and he's not sure what that means. So can you explain that penalty?
Yeah, I mean, you can only have so many people in the backfield, and the same thing's true on the line. So the receiver's got to be off the line for you to be the inside guy and go down the field. If the receiver's on the line, you're not an eligible receiver. So if you have a tight end and a flanker, and the flanker lines up on the line, the tight end's ineligible. So either Bowers needed to be off the line with the 1 yard with the receiver on it, or he was on the line and the receiver had to be 1 yard back. And Kirby wasn't too fired up about it.
He was fired up.
No, I'm being facetious. I mean, he knows how to do that.
Red and Black in the Day says Georgia has seemed to suffer an inordinate amount of injuries at Neyland Stadium over the years. Is there anything unique about the turf?
Talk about it. Let's don't talk about it. That field chaps my ass. I mean, they need to do something there. They need to bring Coach Dooley and his horticultural talents up there and help them get something there. I mean, that grass, I mean, I don't know what the sod or what, but I mean, let's don't talk about it. We got to get through this game. But he's right. Hey, he's exactly right. Too many injuries will happen up there.
Bulldog Ben.
Most of them. Oof.
Say again, Roddy?
So I've been there for some of those. I remember Robert Edwards running.
Hey, that's enough. Let's don't talk about it.
How could you see the players over the grass? I don't understand. Bulldog Ben says, what team should Georgia be concerned about most looking ahead?
Tennessee, that's the next team. But, looking ahead, we're going to see the tonight, you're going to see the college football playoff. I think as far as the rankings, from my standpoint, Georgia's going to be 1. Alabama's still going to stay 2. Oregon's going to be 3. And Ohio State's going to be 4. I don't know how you can help but put them like that at this point. You're still going to see the same issues with Oklahoma, but they're getting ready to play Baylor, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State, and then somebody else in the championship game so they can make a move if Oregon falters. Michigan, Ohio State going to play. There's going to be a lot of things happen. Cincinnati, just the lack of play in the last 3 weeks. I mean, they played Tulane, Navy, and Tulsa, and gone down the wire against each one of them, and it just doesn't look like. I don't see them moving up. 6 will be good for them. We'll see how that works.
Yes, sir. Ask, why is Alabama's defense in 2011 known as the Saban defense, but in 2021 it's the Golding defense?
They don't want to give any credit to Kirby Smart. I mean, those people have been pissed off ever since he left. So, but they certainly got an outstanding player there, and that Will Anderson. He's good. Is it Lewis or what's his name? The great number 1 guy that sack gets off. Number 31. He's awesome.
Player of the week.
Yeah, and
player of the week.
We got Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis. I noticed the top 10 players in the league, they list Hendon Hooker at number 7, the quarterback for Tennessee. So that's pretty impressive. Bryce Young's up there. So we'll see how it happens. But one thing we always do with the Tennessee game, and the people that have heard it before, the old coach, I got to tell the story about the 2 guys that were getting ready to get executed, and they were with the warden, and the warden said, look, I'm going to give you one last wish before you get electrocuted. Whatever you want, you can have it. Food, anything, whatever you want. And they looked at each other, and the Tennessee guy looked at the Georgia guy, and the Tennessee guy says, I want to hear Rocky Top one more time. And the guy from Georgia said, kill me first.
I haven't been by to see if I can hear Rocky Top.
I don't want to hear that damn song any more than I have to. I know they got it blaring out over there all week, and that's what you got to do. But, man, what a song. What a bad song.
All right, we'll sneak in 2 more questions. One of them is a request for mouthwatering players of the week to return. So Strict Dog 7 will do that. But after we get this from Till Dog, Coach, with the talk about the offensive line having some limitations on offense, what is it specifically? Is it the guard? Is it a center? Is it the inside line? And he says, if so, why don't we try out some of those big charlardos on the bench over there?
It's a collection of different things. It's not one person every time. It's not a lot of as cohesive as you'd like for it to be. And there's some missed assignments once in a while, but we just don't have a real physical point of attack offensive line that's going to just drop you off the ball and drop you to your knees. So, and protection is improving for sure. The gap scheme has helped us. We're just not as smooth as you want to be down after down, but that's college football. You saw what happened to Alabama the other night. Their center goes down, and they were discombobulated the whole game against LSU. As far as the younger guys, I think it's just a case of learning your assignments and the coach feeling like that you can execute when you get in there. For example, they put Truss in the game 2 weeks ago, and he made a bad mental error and was down the field and cost us dearly on a play action pass, because he was down the field. So, when you get your opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. Broderick Jones, fortunately, had played some against Auburn, and then he had a kind of a battlefield promotion last week with Sire being out, and he comes in there and does a pretty good job. So I guess it's just going to be a case of hopefully with Charleston Southern and Tech and all, we'll continue to play these guys, but you got to go with the guys they're going to do what they're supposed to do first. So that helps a lot.
All right, let's do it. Let's bring back our mouth-watering players of the week. And Radi, James Cook is yours, right?
No, I'm actually pulled away from James Cook this week. I'm going back to Jermaine Burton. I think that That's going to be my guy. I saw what he was. I feel he's due. There's some karma when you get that close to the goal line twice. The football gods are not going to let you come that close and punish you that much. It's not fair. I just think there's some karma due his way this week, and I hope he gets it.
I'm gonna go with Keely Ringo. I think Tennessee playing so fast, Ringo's going to be needed for some open field tackles, and he's a physical guy.
He's definitely improved a lot, and he's playing a lot of confidence. I'm going to go with that triumphant up front, the law firm of Davis, Walker, and Carter. And I think they're going to just completely jack those guys up front and be in that guy's face all night. He's going to make some yards and scramble and all, but it's going to be a misery index for that Tennessee offensive line.
Your misery index finger? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying a misery index. I mean, that's hopefully they're miserable.
Well, that's good stuff. Any other questions you want to hit there, Dane? Are we good?
We were loaded with questions, and we appreciate that. So keep those coming. We'll answer them through this home stretch of the regular season.
Well, and I'm with Coach. I don't like hearing that song. I've covered many, many games inside Neyland Stadium, but this week I will be on the in the recliner next to Coach Donnan with Dane behind us running the show as we do our watch-along show. So be sure to tune in about 3:20-ish or so. We will have the watch-along here on these channels. So be sure to tune in. It was a hell of a show last week. We had a lot of fun. We're going to have even more fun this week. And also don't miss the Thursday Around the League show when we actually, I say we, these guys here, Brent and Dane and Coach Don, and talk about all the rest of the SEC. There's a lot going on in the SEC. You don't want to miss that show. It's one of my favorites that I listen to when I walk around. I always tune in, and I learn a lot about everything else that's going on in the SEC. It's a fantastic show, and I tell you to hit that subscribe button and be sure to listen to it every week.
I'm always astounded by Coach Donnan's connections across, he's been doing this a while, but like the people that he's coached with or know someone that did, and just there'll be a FCS team or FBS team. Oh yeah, I coached this player and his son.
I'm old, man. I'm old. I'm old, but you've been around. You're
old, Coach. You're just experienced.
You've been around a lot of guys, and it's kind of a coaching tree from the standpoint everybody kind of has people that and interact with, and it's a very good tree from a standpoint of people don't get out there and talk about each other a lot. I like that part too. So you feel for a guy like Todd Grantham. I mean, he is, he's caught a lot of flack, but he's done a lot of good things too. And hate for anybody to lose their job, but that's part of life.
I will say this about Todd: he has always been very good to me. He's always been very helpful. Never had any issues with him whatsoever. I tease him, just like I do everybody. I make fun of myself the most, but I make fun of everybody else, and I'll tease Todd Grantham. But he's a good guy, and I hate to see.
A quick story on Todd. He was a defensive coordinator here, and Connor Norman is played safety for us back when he was here, and played nickel. And now he works for Ron Corson, physical therapy and all that. And so he said he was talking to Todd before the game down there in Jacksonville, and they were just kind of shooting the breeze. And Todd says, "You know what they're going to run today?" and
he's a funny dude.
Connor looked at him, "Hey, Coach, come on." So I thought that was pretty cool. He probably thought Connor, since he was loyal to him, was going to tell him. But he didn't. That was pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
And I tell folks, stay tuned to UGASports because this coaching carousel this year is going to be wild. It is going to be nuts.
We got one more minute here. I was thinking about the coaches. I got to tell you this. You know how you talk before the game? Well, the head coach of the University of Minnesota was John Gutekunst. He took over for Holtz, who left and went to Notre Dame. And the year before, we'd played Minnesota up there, and it was a tight game. We played them tight, and they played us. We hadn't really gotten to the wishbone yet because Troy Aikman was our quarterback. So we're playing them in the next year at Oklahoma. And John was a freshman coach at Duke when I was a freshman coach at NC State. So we'd been together a long time. So he talked to Switzer for a second, and then I went over and started talking to him. He said, yeah, I said, we're really ready today. He said, we've worked hard on you and all that, and just kept on talking about it. And I said, hey, John, I'm just going to tell you right now, this is not the same team you played against last year. We're going to break that strong safety's ankles today, roll blocking him. I said, y'all won't even be able – that big old boy will not make a tackle. He said, what are you talking about? I said, you just watch. Well, we were 63-0 going into this third quarter. And after the game, he said, hey, you had that one right. So that's what coaches talk about sometimes.
You went out there and told him what you were going to do and then did it. That's rude.
I wasn't saying anything till he was telling me how good they were. And
Okay.
then I had to just – and if I didn't know him, that's what I'm saying. You know the guy. So you say, hey, I said, hey, John, we're going to break that guy's ankles.
That's cold-blooded. I love it.
Okay, so much for me bragging, but I just wanted to tell you about a story that happened. That's a true story.
No, it's a good one. I love it. I love stuff like that. That's what makes the show special.
Always will be thankful to John Gudikins for my first college game, second college game that I was coaching as a freshman coach. We're playing Duke, and the score is 28-27, and they got to decide whether they go for go for two or whatever they're going to do. So they decided to kick for the tie. And I'll always be thankful that they decided that because the guy missed it. It was classic.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, well, with that, we can't do anything better than that. We're going to leave the show on a high note, and be sure to tune in next Tuesday at noon, and we will have more UGA Sports Live with Coach Donnan. See you then.